Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Every Wimbledon produces unforgettable moments. Every year, one player captures the imagination of millions, proving that belief, courage, and determination can transform an ordinary tournament into an extraordinary story. This year, that story belongs to Alex Eala. The young Filipina has already made history by becoming the first player from the Philippines to reach the third round of Wimbledon. Her remarkable comeback victory over Australia's Iga Świątek has not only earned her a place among the final 32 players, but has also inspired tennis fans across Asia and around the world. It is another milestone in what has rapidly become one of the most exciting breakthrough stories in women's tennis. But now, the challenge becomes even greater. Standing between Alex Eala and a place in the fourth round is one of the most dominant champions of the modern era, the defending Wimbledon champion, multiple Grand Slam winner, world number 3, Iga Świątek. For years, Swiatek has built a reputation as one of the most complete players in women's tennis. Her consistency, movement, tactical intelligence, and ability to perform under pressure have made her one of the sport's biggest stars. Regardless of the surface, she enters almost every tournament as one of the favorites, and Wimbledon is no exception. Yet this year's Wimbledon has reminded everyone that rankings alone never decide a tennis match. Alex Eala has arrived in London playing with growing confidence. Her victory over Iga Świątek showcased not only her technical ability, but also her resilience. After losing the opening set, she completely changed the momentum of the match, winning the next 2 sets in dominant fashion. That comeback demonstrated maturity beyond her years and highlighted why so many analysts believe she is one of the brightest young talents on the WTA Tour. Now comes the biggest test of her career. Can the young Filipina continue her dream run against one of the toughest competitors in world tennis? Or will the experience and championship pedigree of Iga Świątek once again prove too much on the sport's biggest grass court stage? This matchup represents more than a battle for a place in the fourth round. It is a fascinating clash between two generations. One player is already an established champion who has spent years setting the standard at the highest level. The other is an ambitious young challenger determined to show that she belongs among the elite. Throughout today's special report, we will examine every aspect of this blockbuster encounter. We'll explore Alex Eala's remarkable rise from junior champion to Grand Slam contender. We'll break down Iga Świątek's incredible journey to becoming one of the defining players of her generation. We'll analyze their playing styles, tactical strengths, mental resilience, and the key battles that could decide the outcome of this highly anticipated match. We'll also examine why this contest carries enormous significance, not only for both players but for the future of women's tennis itself. Because Wimbledon has always been a place where new stars are born, legends are challenged, history is rewritten, and sometimes one unforgettable performance changes everything. So, could Alex Eala produce the biggest victory of her career? Can she shock the defending champion on one of the most famous courts in the world? Or will Iga Świątek once again demonstrate why she remains one of the most feared competitors in professional tennis? Stay with us, because this is a complete story behind one of the most anticipated third-round matches at Wimbledon. Let's begin. Ladies and gentlemen, before we analyze what could happen when Alex Eala steps on the court against defending champion Iga Świątek, we first need to understand why this match has captured the attention of the tennis world. This isn't simply a contest between the world number 3 and the tournament's 29th seed. It is a story about two completely different journeys that have now collided on one of the biggest stages in sport. For Alex Eala, arriving in the third round of Wimbledon is much more than another career milestone. It is history. By defeating Australia's Iga Świątek in an impressive comeback victory, Eala became the first player from the Philippines to reach the third round of Wimbledon. After losing the opening set 3-6, she completely turned the match around, dominating the final 2 sets 6-2 and 6-0. It was a performance that showcased resilience, tactical adjustment, and remarkable composure under pressure. What made that victory even more impressive was the way Eala responded after a difficult opening set. Many young players struggle after falling behind against quality opposition. Confidence begins to disappear. Shot selection becomes rushed. Mistakes start to multiply. But Alex Eala showed exactly why many believe she belongs among the next generation of elite players. Instead of forcing risky winners, she became more patient. She began extending rallies. She changed the direction of the ball more effectively. She moved Maya joint from side to side. Gradually, the momentum shifted. By the third set, Eala was completely in control. The scoreline of 6-0 in the deciding set reflected not just superior tennis, but also superior decision-making. That ability to solve problems during a match is one of the qualities that separates good players from great ones. And it is one of the reasons why so many analysts are paying close attention to the 21-year-old Filipina. But Alexandra Eala's rise did not begin this week. It has been years in the making. From her junior career, she built a reputation as a player with exceptional court awareness, clean ball striking, and impressive maturity. Rather than relying only on power, she developed a complete game. Her movement, her anticipation, her ability to change pace, her willingness to compete for every point. Those qualities helped her progress steadily through professional tennis. Training at the Rafa Nadal Academy also played a major role in her development. The Academy's emphasis on discipline, intelligent shot selection, and relentless competitiveness has clearly influenced Eala's style of play. Now, Wimbledon has become another chapter in that journey, and perhaps the most important one yet, because waiting across the net is not just another opponent. It is Iga Świątek, the defending Wimbledon champion, one of the most successful players of this era. Swiatek arrived at the third round after a commanding straight sets victory over former world number 1 Karolina Pliskova. The final score, 6-1, 6-3, only tells part of the story. Throughout the match, Swiatek looked composed. She served efficiently. She controlled rallies with heavy topspin. She absorbed Pliskova's power and consistently forced errors. Most importantly, she looked increasingly comfortable on grass after surviving a tougher opening round match. Her consistency at Grand Slam tournaments has become one of the defining features of her career. With this latest victory, Swiatek reached the last 32 of a Grand Slam for the 26th consecutive major tournament, placing her among elite company in the Open era. That statistic alone illustrates the challenge facing Alexandra Eala. Champions rarely lose early because they understand how to manage pressure. They know when to attack. They know when to defend. They recognize momentum before anyone else. And perhaps most importantly, they remain calm when matches become complicated. But there's another reason this matchup feels so fascinating. These two players already know each other. Their previous meetings have produced memorable tennis. Eala famously defeated Swiatek at the 2025 Miami Open in one of the biggest victories of her young career, before Swiatek responded by winning their next encounter in Madrid later that season. That leaves their head-to-head balance heading into this Wimbledon meeting, adding another layer of intrigue to an already compelling contest. Even Swiatek herself has acknowledged that Eala presents a unique challenge. After reaching the third round, the defending champion described Eala's game as tricky and noted that her style may be even more effective on grass, adding that she would prepare carefully for the match. Those comments matter. Champions do not underestimate opponents without reason. When one of the best players in the world publicly recognizes the danger posed by a young challenger, it tells us this is far from a routine third-round match. For Eala, this is an opportunity to prove that her Wimbledon run is not simply a breakthrough. It is evidence that she can compete consistently with the very best. For Swiatek, it is another important step in defending her Wimbledon crown and continuing one of the most remarkable stretches of consistency in modern women's tennis. One player is chasing history for her country. The other is protecting a legacy she has worked years to build. That contrast is exactly what makes this contest so compelling. And as the tennis world counts down to first serve, one question continues to grow louder. Can Alexandra Eala produce another career-defining performance? Or will Iga Świątek once again remind everyone why champions are so difficult to stop? Now that we understand how both players arrived at this stage, the conversation shifts to perhaps the most fascinating question of all. How can Alexandra Eala beat Iga Świątek? On paper, many fans will immediately point to the rankings. Swiatek enters this match as a defending Wimbledon champion and one of the most accomplished players in women's tennis. She has won multiple Grand Slam titles, consistently competes for the biggest trophies, and has built a reputation for raising her level when the pressure is highest. But tennis has never been played on paper. Every match begins at love all. Every point must be earned. And Wimbledon has produced countless upsets because the grass courts reward players who are willing to attack, adapt, and believe. That is exactly why Alex Eala cannot be underestimated. One of the biggest strengths in Eala's game is her ability to adjust during a match. Against Iga Świątek, she lost the opening set and could easily have allowed frustration to take over. Instead, she made subtle but important tactical changes. She extended rallies, reduced unnecessary risks, and gradually took control of the baseline. The result was remarkable. She won the final two sets 6-2 and 6-0. Those adjustments tell us something important. Eala is not a player who depends on one strategy. She studies her opponent. She looks for weaknesses. And she is willing to change her approach when the situation demands it. That quality will be essential against Iga Świątek, because Swiatek is one of the smartest tactical players on the WTA Tour. She rarely gives opponents the same ball twice. Sometimes she attacks with heavy topspin. Sometimes she changes direction unexpectedly. Sometimes she absorbs pace before suddenly accelerating the rally. Her ability to vary rhythm forces opponents into uncomfortable positions. That is one reason why she has remained among the world's best for so long. But Alex Eala possesses weapons of her own. Her backhand is one of the cleanest in the women's game. She moves exceptionally well from corner to corner. She is comfortable changing the direction of rallies. Most importantly, she has shown that she enjoys competing against elite opponents rather than being intimidated by them. That confidence could become one of the biggest factors in this match. There is another storyline that makes this contest especially intriguing. These two players already have history. Back in 2025, Alex Eala stunned the tennis world by defeating Iga Świątek at the Miami Open, one of the biggest victories of her young career. Later that season, Swiatek responded by winning their Madrid meeting, leaving the rivalry evenly balanced heading into Wimbledon. That history matters. It means Eala walks onto the court knowing she has already beaten this opponent once. Very few players can say that. Belief is often the most valuable weapon an underdog possesses. And Alex Eala has genuine reasons to believe she can compete. Of course, belief alone will not be enough. The serve could become the most important shot of the match. Grass rewards players who earn free points with accurate serving. If Eala consistently lands her first serve, she can avoid allowing Swiatek to dictate rallies immediately. Conversely, if her first serve percentage drops, Swiatek's exceptional return game could place her under constant pressure. The opening few service games may therefore reveal a great deal about how the match is likely to develop. Another key area will be movement. Although both players move extremely well, they do so differently. Swiatek relies on explosive footwork and outstanding balance. She recovers quickly after every shot. She rarely appears rushed. Eala, meanwhile, covers the court with remarkable efficiency. Rather than chasing every ball at full speed, she often anticipates where the next shot is likely to go. That anticipation allows her to stay balanced and prepare earlier for the next rally. It may sound like a small detail, but at Wimbledon, where points unfold incredibly quickly, anticipation can be the difference between hitting a winner and arriving one step too late. Then there is the mental battle. Grand Slam matches are rarely decided by talent alone. Pressure changes everything. The center court atmosphere, the expectations, the global television audience, the awareness that every point could influence the outcome. These moments test every player's emotional control. Swiatek has experienced these situations many times. She knows how to slow herself down. She understands how to recover after losing difficult points. That experience cannot be measured by statistics. It comes only from years of competing on the biggest stages. Eala, however, has demonstrated remarkable composure throughout her Wimbledon campaign. After her comeback victory over Iga Świątek, she spoke about embracing the challenge ahead rather than fearing it. She also emphasized how proud she is to represent the Philippines on one of tennis's biggest stages. That attitude reflects a player enjoying the moment rather than feeling overwhelmed by it. Interestingly, Even Swiatek has refused to underestimate her next opponent. Following her second-round victory, she described Eala's game as tricky, particularly on grass, and said she would prepare carefully for the challenge. Those words deserve attention. Champions respect opponents who can genuinely threaten them. And Swiatek clearly believes Eala has the tools to make this a difficult contest. So what could ultimately decide the match? Will it be experience? Will it be confidence? Will it be the quality of the serve? Or will one player simply produce moments of brilliance when the pressure reaches its highest point? That uncertainty is exactly why tennis fans around the world are eagerly waiting for a first serve, because Wimbledon has always rewarded courage. It has always celebrated belief. And sometimes it produces performances that redefine a player's entire career. For Alex Eala, this could become that moment. For Iga Świątek, it is another opportunity to demonstrate why defending champions are so difficult to dethrone. Either way, one thing is already certain. This is far more than just another third-round match. It is one of the defining stories of Wimbledon 2026. As the countdown to this highly anticipated third-round encounter continues, it becomes increasingly clear that this match is about much more than reaching the second week of Wimbledon. For both players, the stakes extend far beyond a place in the round of 16. For Alex Eala, this moment represents the latest chapter in a journey that has inspired millions of tennis fans in the Philippines and across Asia. Every Grand Slam victory has added to the belief that players from countries without a long history of success in professional tennis can compete with the very best. Her run to the third round has already made national history, regardless of what happens next. That achievement carries enormous significance. For decades, Filipino sports fans have celebrated champions in boxing, weightlifting, and other sports, but a deep run at Wimbledon has long seemed like a distant dream. Eala's performance has shown that dream can become reality through years of development, discipline, and determination. But history alone will not satisfy a competitor. Athletes who reach this level rarely think about simply participating. They think about winning. They think about the next challenge. And for Alex Eala, the next challenge could hardly be bigger. Standing across the net is a player who has spent years proving she belongs among the elite. Iga Świątek has built her reputation not only through winning Grand Slam titles, but through remarkable consistency. One of the clearest examples is her streak of reaching the last 32 at Grand Slam tournaments, a run that reflects her ability to avoid early exits even when expectations are at their highest. Consistency like that is one of the hardest qualities to develop in professional tennis. Many players produce outstanding performances for a week or two. Very few sustain excellence across multiple seasons. Swiatek has done exactly that. She has evolved from a promising teenager into one of the defining players of her generation. That experience could prove invaluable during the biggest moments of this match. Championship matches are often decided not by spectacular winners, but by small decisions. Choosing the right serve on breakpoint, remaining patient during a 20-shot rally, recovering emotionally after losing a close game. These are the details that separate champions from challengers. For Eala, this match offers another opportunity to gain experience against one of the sport's best competitors. Regardless of the result, competing under this level of pressure is invaluable for a young player still building her career. But make no mistake, Eala has already demonstrated that she is capable of challenging elite opposition. Her victory over Swiatek at the Miami Open in 2025 remains one of the most important wins of her career, proving that she has the ability to compete with the very best when her game comes together. Their rivalry has since become more balanced, adding another fascinating layer to this Wimbledon encounter. From a tactical perspective, there are several key areas that could decide the outcome. The first is the battle over the baseline. If Swiatek is able to dictate rallies with her heavy topspin and precise depth, she can gradually push opponents into defensive positions. Once she gains that advantage, she becomes extremely difficult to stop. However, if Eala succeeds in taking the ball early, redirecting pace, and forcing Swiatek to defend more often than attack, the match could become significantly more competitive. Another factor is emotional momentum. Every tennis fan has witnessed matches where one player suddenly wins 5 or 6 consecutive games. Momentum shifts quickly. Confidence grows. Pressure increases. One brilliant passing shot, one perfectly timed return, one difficult service hold. Those moments can completely transform a match. That is why the opening set could become so important. If Eala starts confidently and stays close on the scoreboard, belief will continue to grow, not only within her team but throughout the stadium. If Swiatek establishes an early lead, her experience may allow her to control the rhythm and reduce opportunities for an upset. There is also the physical challenge of Wimbledon. Grass rewards explosive movement, but it also demands constant concentration. Players have less time to react. The bounce can remain unpredictable. Every adjustment must be made instantly. Both competitors have shown that they are capable movers, but sustaining that level for an entire match requires exceptional fitness and mental discipline. Beyond the tactics, this match has become one of the most talked about stories of the tournament because it symbolizes a transition between generations. On one side stands an established champion determined to defend her crown. On the other stands a rising player whose confidence continues to grow with every victory. That contrast is what makes sport so compelling. Every era eventually produces new challengers. Every champion eventually faces a fearless opponent determined to create history. Sometimes the favorite prevails. Sometimes a new star announces herself to the world. And Wimbledon has witnessed both scenarios countless times throughout its history. As first serve approaches, predictions remain divided. Some believe Swiatek's experience, consistency, and championship mentality will carry her through. Others believe Eala's fearless attitude, growing confidence, and ability to rise in big matches give her a genuine opportunity to produce another memorable performance. One thing, however, is beyond debate. Millions of fans around the world will be watching, not simply because of what is at stake today, but because this match could become another important chapter in the careers of two outstanding players whose stories continue to shape the future of women's tennis. As we reach the conclusion of this in-depth preview, one question continues to dominate conversations across the tennis world. Can Alexandra Eala produce another unforgettable Grand Slam moment? It is a fair question. After all, Eala has already shown throughout this Wimbledon campaign that she is capable of responding to adversity. Against Maya Joint, she recovered from losing the opening set to produce an emphatic comeback, winning 3-6, 6-2, 6-0. That victory made her the first player from the Philippines to reach the third round at Wimbledon, a landmark achievement for Philippine tennis. But the challenge now becomes significantly greater. Across the net stands a defending champion. Iga Świątek arrives with momentum of her own after a commanding 6-1, 6-3 victory over former world number 1 Karolina Pliskova. She has now reached the last 32 at 26 consecutive Grand Slam tournaments, highlighting the remarkable consistency that has defined her career. That consistency is perhaps Swiatek's greatest strength. Champions rarely rely on spectacular tennis alone. They win because they consistently make the right decisions. They remain patient. They recover quickly after setbacks. And they rarely allow pressure to affect their execution. Those qualities explain why Swiatek has become one of the most respected competitors on the WTA Tour. Yet Alexandra Eala has already demonstrated that she can challenge elite opposition. One reason this matchup is attracting so much attention is their previous rivalry. Eala famously defeated Swiatek at the 2025 Miami Open before Swiatek earned revenge in Madrid later that season, giving both players first-hand experience of each other's strengths. That history changes the psychology of the match. Eala does not enter the court wondering whether she can compete. She already knows she can. The real challenge is sustaining that level over an entire match against one of the most consistent players in the world. So what must Alexandra Eala do to create another upset? First, she must serve efficiently. Winning free points and avoiding long defensive rallies will be critical against an elite returner like Swiatek. Second, she must remain aggressive without becoming reckless. When Eala plays with controlled aggression, she is capable of taking time away from opponents and changing the rhythm of rallies. Third, she must embrace the occasion. Moments like this can define careers. Players who approach them with belief often produce their best tennis. For Swiatek, the priorities are different. She will look to establish control early. She will try to use her heavy topspin, outstanding movement, and experience to dictate the baseline exchanges. If she succeeds in forcing Eala onto the defensive, the defending champion will naturally become the favorite to advance. However, one important lesson from Wimbledon is that surprises are always possible. Every year, the tournament produces matches that few people predicted. That uncertainty is one of the reasons Wimbledon remains so special. The grass rewards confidence. It rewards adaptability. And sometimes it rewards fearless young challengers who seize the biggest opportunity of their careers. So how should this match be viewed? Based on experience, achievement, and sustained excellence, Iga Świątek enters as a favorite. But this is not a prediction of certainty. Alex Eala has earned her place in the third round through outstanding tennis, and she has already shown she can compete with the world's best. If she serves well, limits unforced errors, and maintains the composure she displayed against Maya Joint, she has every opportunity to make this an extremely competitive contest. And perhaps that is the biggest takeaway. Regardless of the final result, Alex Eala has already demonstrated that she belongs on this stage. She has represented the Philippines with distinction. She has inspired a new generation of young players. And she has proven that determination, preparation, and belief can carry an athlete to historic achievements. For Iga Świątek, this match is another chapter in the pursuit of defending one of tennis's most prestigious titles. For Alex Eala, it is another opportunity to continue writing one of the most inspiring stories of this year's Wimbledon. Only one player will advance, but both enter the court knowing that the eyes of the tennis world will be watching. And that brings us to the end of today's in-depth Wimbledon preview. This third-round showdown between Alex Eala and Iga Świątek represents everything that makes Grand Slam tennis so compelling. It is a clash between proven excellence and fearless ambition, between a defending champion seeking another title and a rising star determined to continue a historic breakthrough. Whatever happens when they step onto grass, one thing is certain. The result will be decided not by reputation or rankings, but by execution, resilience, and the ability to perform under pressure. If Alex Eala can continue the level of tennis she has shown so far, she has a chance to test one of the very best players in the world. If Iga Świątek performs at a level that has made her a multiple-time Grand Slam champion, she will once again remind everyone why she is among the elite. For tennis fans, this is exactly the kind of matchup that makes Wimbledon unforgettable. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this complete breakdown, be sure to subscribe for more in-depth tennis coverage, match previews, post-match analysis, and the biggest stories from Wimbledon and the WTA Tour. Let us know your prediction in the comments below. Will Alex Eala produce another historic upset? Or will Iga Świątek continue her title defense and move one step closer to another Wimbledon crown? Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next tennis update. Until then, enjoy the action, take care, and have a wonderful day.